We've all seen them, legendary stars brought back to life, performing as if they're still here. When you think of Marilyn Monroe, perhaps you remember that song, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. But tonight, some want to produce an encore performance.
Marilyn Monroe remains one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood history. A name synonymous with glamour, talent, and a mystique that continues to captivate generations. Even decades after her passing, curiosity about her life and particularly the circumstances surrounding her death remains intense. Fans have long speculated, debated, and wondered what really happened to her. While countless theories have circulated over the years, recent revelations and careful examination of events have shed light on aspects of her story that have never been fully understood, revealing a narrative that is both complex and deeply unsettling. Marilyn's rise to fame was meteoric. From humble beginnings to the glitz of Hollywood stardom, she captured the hearts of audiences with her charm, beauty, and undeniable talent. Yet beneath the surface of red carpets and movie premieres, her life was marked by challenges that few could imagine. The pressures of fame, the intensity of public scrutiny, and the high expectations placed upon her by studios and fans created an environment that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. Even as she achieved global recognition, Marilyn struggled to maintain personal stability and privacy, leading to a life that was far more complicated than the glamour suggested. One of the most striking revelations comes from newly uncovered details about her personal relationships and professional circumstances in the final months of her life. These insights reveal a woman surrounded by both support and strain, navigating friendships, romances, and work pressures that were sometimes contradictory. People close to her noticed that she was experiencing heightened emotional challenges, and while she remained charismatic and engaging in public, her private life reflected the strain of balancing personal desires with professional obligations. This tension has long fueled speculation, but a closer look at reliable accounts helps to clarify the true nature of her struggles. Additionally, recent research has highlighted discrepancies and inconsistencies in previous reports, offering new perspectives on events leading up to her passing. By carefully analyzing timelines, communications, and first-hand accounts, historians and biographers have pieced together a narrative that emphasizes the complexities rather than simple explanations. This approach reveals that Marilyn's life, like her career, cannot be reduced to a single moment or a single event. It was shaped by multiple factors, each interacting in ways that had profound consequences for her well-being. And the decisions she made, the emotional impact of these revelations is significant. Fans are reminded that Marilyn Monroe was more than a symbol of beauty and glamour. She was a human being navigating pressures that many of us can relate to. Even if her circumstances were extraordinary, understanding the full picture highlights both the fragility and the resilience she demonstrated throughout her life. It also brings into focus the broader context of Hollywood in her era, where studio systems, public expectations, and media scrutiny could amplify personal struggles into public spectacle. Finally, these new insights invite reflection on legacy and remembrance. While the circumstances surrounding Marilyn Monroe's final days remain a source of fascination and debate, it is clear that her story continues to resonate because of the humanity she displayed, the joy she brought to audiences, and the challenges she faced privately. Examining her life with care and sensitivity not only honors her memory, but also allows fans to appreciate the depth of the woman behind the icon. This emerging understanding does not diminish her legend. Instead, it adds nuance, perspective, and a poignant reminder of the real person who lived behind the spotlight. As the investigation into Marilyn Monroe's life and final days has progressed, new insights have emerged that paint a more complete picture of the pressures she faced. While she was celebrated worldwide for her beauty, talent, and charm, those closest to her noticed that the demands of Hollywood took a significant toll. Long hours on set, relentless public attention, and the constant expectation to maintain her image created an environment of intense stress. Over time, these pressures began to intersect with her personal challenges, making her life far more complicated than most fans ever realized. In particular, her relationships played a critical role in shaping her experiences during this period. Marilyn navigated both deep friendships and romantic entanglements that sometimes offered comfort, but also brought added tension. While many of her connections were supportive, others carried complexities that could heighten emotional strain. These dynamics have often been overlooked in discussions about her life, but they are essential to understanding the broader context of her final months. By examining these relationships more closely, historians and biographers are able to better appreciate how her personal world influenced her choices and experiences. Professional obligations added another layer of complexity. As an actress, Marilyn faced constant pressure to deliver performances that matched the expectations of studios, directors, and audiences. She was expected to balance her artistic ambitions with the strict demands of a competitive industry, often under conditions that would challenge even the most resilient individuals. This balancing act required extraordinary effort, and it is now evident that the constant tension between public expectations and personal desires was a persistent feature of her life. Additionally, recent research into timelines and accounts from people who were present during key moments has clarified some long-standing ambiguities. By cross-referencing interviews, letters, and other reliable records, researchers have been able to confirm details that were previously uncertain or misreported. These discoveries have helped to dispel myths while also highlighting the real emotional and psychological challenges Marilyn faced. Understanding these details allows fans and scholars alike to move beyond speculation and focus on the human story at the heart of her legacy. The emotional weight of these revelations is profound. Marilyn Monroe's story reminds us that fame and adoration do not eliminate the very real struggles individuals face. Behind the glamour and success was a person coping with intense pressures, complex relationships, and the difficulties of navigating life in the public eye. Seeing this side of Marilyn encourages a deeper empathy for her, offering a reminder that her life was far richer and more intricate than a simple narrative could capture. It also underscores the resilience she demonstrated by continuing to work, perform, and engage with the world despite the challenges she faced privately. Ultimately, these new insights encourage reflection on how history remembers Marilyn Monroe. She is, and will always be, an icon of beauty, talent, and charisma. But understanding the realities behind her life deepens her story. The complexities of her experiences, the pressures she endured, and the personal choices she faced reveal a woman navigating a difficult world while striving to maintain her identity and agency. This fuller perspective adds nuance to her legacy, showing that her life, like her performances, was layered, emotional, and profoundly human. As Marilyn Monroe's life and final days have been examined more closely, it becomes clear that the pressures she faced extended beyond work and relationships. Mental and emotional challenges played a significant role, influencing her decisions and well-being. Those closest to her noted fluctuations in mood, anxiety, and moments of profound introspection that were often invisible to the public. While she maintained her signature charm and professionalism in public, behind the scenes she was navigating difficulties that required immense resilience. These struggles, once overlooked or misunderstood, are now recognized as crucial factors in understanding the broader context of her life. The environment of Hollywood during her era also magnified these challenges. Studio systems wielded enormous influence over actors' careers, controlling schedules, appearances, and personal branding. For Marilyn, this meant that much of her life was directed by external forces, leaving limited room for personal choice or freedom. The tension between individual desire and industry expectation created ongoing stress, especially for someone who valued both her craft and her independence. Scholars now suggest that this imbalance contributed to the complexity of her final months, highlighting the pressures faced by even the most celebrated stars. In addition, the scrutiny of media and public attention intensified the strain. From tabloid rumors to fan speculation, Marilyn's every move was observed, critiqued, and discussed. While fame brought opportunities and admiration, it also brought an unrelenting spotlight that magnified mistakes, amplified rumors, and left little room for privacy. This constant observation contributed to feelings of vulnerability, as she struggled to maintain control over her personal narrative, while the public constructed its own version of her story. Understanding this aspect of her life sheds light on the emotional burden she carried daily. Relationships in her life, both romantic and platonic, further shaped her experiences. Some connections provided support and comfort, while others introduced tension or complexity. Navigating these dynamics required emotional energy and careful judgment. Those who were close to her recall moments of joy alongside moments of frustration or worry, reflecting the intricate interplay of personal bonds and public life. These relationships, along with the pressures of her career and health, combined to create a multifaceted picture of the challenges she faced at the time. Despite these struggles, Marilyn Monroe demonstrated remarkable courage and professionalism. She continued to work on films, attend public events, and engage with fans even as she managed private difficulties. This duality, appearing confident and radiant while facing intense internal challenges, underscores both her resilience and the depth of her humanity. By examining these elements together, historians and biographers can better appreciate the complexities of her life, moving beyond superficial assumptions and recognizing the real person behind the icon. Finally, these insights prompt reflection on legacy and remembrance. Marilyn Monroe is celebrated for her talent, beauty, and charisma, but understanding the pressures, choices, and challenges she faced adds dimension to her story. Her life becomes not just a tale of fame, but a reminder of the human experience behind the public image. Recognizing her struggles encourages empathy, respect, and a fuller appreciation of the woman who captivated the world. While navigating a profoundly complicated life, Marilyn Monroe's story is not about sensational theories or wild speculation. It is about understanding her as a human being navigating extraordinary pressures. In examining the last period of her life, it becomes evident that a combination of career demands, personal struggles, and societal expectations created an environment that was extremely challenging. Hollywood's relentless pace, combined with the public's fascination with her every move, left little room for privacy or reflection. While she continued to shine on screen and in public appearances, her personal life reflected the weight of these pressures, revealing the complex realities behind her legendary persona. One of the most striking aspects of this period is the balance Marilyn sought between her public image and private needs. She had built a career that demanded perfection in appearance, performance, and public conduct. Yet she was also attempting to maintain relationships, make personal choices, and preserve a sense of normalcy. This tension was difficult to manage, and it shaped many of her decisions, influencing both her professional opportunities and personal life. Understanding this duality helps explain why certain events unfolded as they did, emphasizing that her actions were often rooted in attempts to navigate a complicated and high-pressure world. Her interactions with those closest to her also played a defining role. Friends, colleagues, and confidants described a woman who was both vibrant and vulnerable, capable of immense warmth yet sensitive to criticism and stress. These relationships offered comfort, but sometimes introduced additional complexity, requiring emotional effort and judgment. Marilyn's ability to maintain connections, despite the pressures surrounding her, demonstrates her resilience, while also highlighting the human need for support, trust, and understanding. The challenges of balancing personal relationships with professional obligations were immense, yet she approached them with sincerity and care. The scrutiny of media and public perception further intensified the situation. As one of the most famous women in the world, Marilyn's life was constantly observed, discussed, and judged. Even minor missteps could become sensational headlines, amplifying stress and limiting her personal freedom. Scholars note that this constant observation affected both her emotional state and her decision-making as she navigated expectations that often felt impossible to meet. Recognizing this pressure helps explain the careful, sometimes guarded, approach she took in both personal and professional contexts. Despite these hardships, Marilyn Monroe's legacy is defined by her courage and her enduring impact on culture. She continued to perform, engage with fans, and participate in projects that reflected her talent and vision. Even as she faced immense challenges, she maintained a level of professionalism and charisma that few could match. Her ability to persist, to create art, and to connect with audiences underscores the strength and determination that lay beneath her glamorous exterior. Ultimately, Understanding the full scope of Marilyn Monroe's life, including the pressures and choices that shaped her final days, allows for a more compassionate and nuanced view of her story. She was not only an icon of beauty and talent, but also a woman confronting extraordinary circumstances, striving to maintain agency, and seeking meaning amidst intense challenges. Her life, her struggles, and her achievements remind us that the person behind the legend deserves recognition, respect, and empathy. The real story of Marilyn Monroe is thus both inspiring and poignant, revealing a human journey that extends far beyond the spotlight and endures long after the final curtain.